Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ask ServiceMonster show, where you've got questions for your service business and we've got your answers. It's starting to get busy. I mean, like crazy busy. There are some people who are just so slammed, they're turning away work, their schedules are completely filled, they're working 10, 12 hours a day. I thought I'd take this opportunity to kind of create a fake company. What would the perfect company look like in this environment? Because I know you're feeling it. Words like redundancy and logistics are starting to creep into your vocabulary. How do you handle that as your organization grows and scales? And how do you deal with all the pitfalls centered around it? So what I want to do is kind of take an amalgamation of some of the best service companies I've worked with over the last 15 years and create a Frankenstein, kind of a group of companies all blended together to create this one idealistic, perfect company. What does it look like in terms of operations and scale and service? Let's start with the area. In this particular example, this company is going to service the county. It's not going to try to travel all over multiple states or set up remote locations. Obviously, you can franchise and you can start doing regional work or do something like Michael does and just crazy take over the entire eastern or western seaboard. But for our example here, the most efficient, the most easy to control, and yeah, still the most scalable is going to be that targeted focus within your county. You'll typically encompass one major city. I'm going to put major in air quotes here because the major city in our county is going to be Bellingham. And most of Whatcom County represents only about 90,000 people. The county, King County, yeah, that's got Seattle in it, right? So million. So how are we going to really deal with the differences there? The scale of the city really doesn't play a huge role in how successful you're going to become after a certain point. I got to make that kind of disclaimer, right? If you're dealing with military bases or really high transient populations like a really small community that gets a lot of its population from the local state college, you've got an argument and I'm not going to contest it. But generally speaking, cities of 100,000 people or above, you're going to have multiple service providers servicing them anyways. There's no way you can service them all. So the way I like to look at it is you're lending all of your clients to your competitors. And that's fine as long as your competitors are decent, good people and they have good businesses. It's when those shady ones come around, right? That's what hurts, that's what pisses you off. When thinking about an office location for servicing this county, we might put our organization in the city, although I wouldn't think that that would be terribly wise. Logistically, it's hard to get 30 vans in and out of there, right? So it's going to be important to choose something maybe just out of the suburbs. Now, you might be inclined to say, well, I'm servicing the whole county, so why don't I just pick a center spot there? And it would make sense from a geographic point of view, but the math might not play out. If 80% of your work comes from 15 miles south, well, that's a lot of unnecessary fuel charges and wasted time staring out of the windshield. So what you might want to do is kind of figure out and weight where you want to put that actual location. Now, when addressing some of the outlining areas in the county, you might feel, well, you know what, there's very few population out there and there just takes a long time to get to. And here's where I would introduce the long tail. You see, our successful company who has a $3 million business doesn't really say no to any of the products and services for core demographics, even if they're in an outlying area. If there's somebody that they want to do business with and they're going to be a good client for the long term, then yeah, you're going to travel out. A good example of the long tail, and this is a business model implemented by Amazon, was us, ServiceMonster. Back in the day, 2003, there really weren't any software companies, real software companies, that were offering products to service providers. What you ended up with is some service providers who hired a few kids to build a product and then they offered that to the general community. It's happened over and over and over again. We were one of the very first who brought an intellectual team who had core competency in software development and architecture to the game. But the VC people, the other software companies, thought we were crazy. They wanted companies minimum of $5 million and above because they could get more seats, more licenses. And that's what they were really after. For us, we wanted the single owner operators. It was a completely underserved market. And so we built our company around this concept of the long tail, knowing that if we got a couple thousand of you guys, single owner operators or mom and pop operations, that would allow us to dominate that portion of the market and give us the fuel and horsepower we needed to move up the chain, which we did, and then ended up landing franchises anyway. The same is true for you guys. Outlying areas are not very profitable for the smaller operations or the people who are focused on scamming the people in the city. It costs more to get out there, right? Your techs have to stare out the windshield a little bit. But man, for a good paying client, if the COGS works out and you're priced correctly, you can soak up that entire market. So let's talk about the services this company provides, because there are a wide variety of them. First of all, both commercial and residential clients are served. They may have rotating shifts, so a day shift for residential and night shift for commercial work. This maximizes the use of the resources and equipment and allows you to collect more money, more hours during the day. Obviously, floor cleaning, this plays a big role. This is where your carpet cleaning comes from. Tile and grout, linoleum, like Jansan, scrubbing out commercial floors, or how about retail outlets, grocery stores. There's huge opportunity there to really just make a whole company out of floor cleaning, but added to an arsenal of other cleaning services, man, that just makes you a powerhouse. Window cleaning, right? Carpet cleaners usually stay away from this, but it's a profitable business, certainly as an add-on to both residential and commercial work. Here's the rub though, you gotta be a perfectionist. Like windows, you can see everything and the clients will look at that. So as long as you've got the juice to actually make that happen, window cleaning is a great add-on. How about pressure washing or soft wash cleaning? You doing the windows, you doing the interior, why not blast the outside, get that clean, or do a little soft wash on the roof? And you can even offer that to residential clients on the regular to help them take care of their moss issue. Here's a big one, restoration. Mostly water damage services, but you can start to creep in. It's a tough game though, right? Margins are getting tighter all the time. Now insurance companies are kind of tightening the screws on overhead and profit, and it takes some finesse. But if you come at it not from the fact that you want to make $1 million chasing storms, but rather you want to service your community, you want to actually help those people who have amazingly difficult issue with a flood or a fire. If you're able to go in and make them whole again to help them solve that problem, they're going to hire you for everything else you do. Here's an interesting one, storefronts. I'll start with a more complicated example. How about cleaning supplies, chemicals? You can actually make yourself your own biggest customer here. Break your company into 3 divisions. You've got Jansan and non-technical cleaning, like maid services and commercial. And then you've got technical cleaning, like running machines, like carpet cleaning equipment, air duct cleaners, or pressure washing equipment. You've got your restoration division as well, because let's face it, like those numbers are not going to play well with the others and just kind of muck your data up. Now you've got these 3 divisions and they all need supplies, cleaning supplies, consumables and juice and all that kind of fun stuff. So create a storefront in your office that allows you to sell this stuff to other consumers. Now, this is good for your clients because they'll be able to buy some of the chemicals that you are using when you clean their property, but it's also good for you, the way it's structured. Again, you'll be your biggest client where each one of the divisions is buying from your storefront. This creates a nice little loop and keeps things tight. Check with your accountant though, because you want to avoid any unnecessary taxation wrapped up in sales tax you might charge yourself. Another more probable storefront, how about flooring products? Carpet, tile. You're doing the installation services for those as well. That can be another very big profit center for you. Now, here's the thing. That can go forever, right? If you're cleaning windows, why not do window repair, fixing broken glass on occasion? And then if you're doing that, why not do window sales and installation, right? Roofing, repair, construction. You can actually just build an entire huge service business in your county taking care of all of those needs. I'm not sure I would want to run it though. So let's talk about some numbers in our fictional organization here. I've mentioned it before. I'm thinking that this business is somewhere around the $3 million mark servicing the county. Not an unreachable goal. I've got a couple clients who are in the 2.5 million range, and they are servicing a single county. And they're doing it alongside other cleaners and restorers as well. So the demographic, the pool of people you can pull from, it's big enough for sure. Let's talk about their margins. Cost of goods sold, based off the work that they do. We'll focus on technical cleaning here because I think you're going to get higher margins out of your non-technical cleaning services because your labor costs are going to be lower, and you're going to get certainly far less margins on restoration work. Even though the ticket numbers are much higher, your total take on those percentage-wise is going to be lower than just general cleaning. For a big company like this, doing it well and having everything systematized, 60% margins are extremely realistic. It means for every dollar that's spent, 60% can get folded back into the business, minus the labor costs, the consuming costs, gas, and whatever consumables they used when they were in the home. This organization is likely running somewhere around 15 or 20 trucks, but they've got redundant equipment. There'll be trucks that just sit for months. Maybe you take them out for a spin or wash them up. What you're hoping for, I guess maybe not hoping for, but the reason why you have it is if a truck goes down, you're not going to be able to not service those clients that are on the schedule. You'll fire up one of the backup trucks and you'll go out and you'll perform the work. The client should never have any idea that anything happened. This is logistics, being able to coordinate schedules and resources. And when things go wrong, that's when your horsepower really kicks in. That's when your people really go to work. If everything's running well, systems should be handling it like a machine. When you're building out your trucks, make sure that they're flexible. If you got 15 trucks, you'll need different tools and equipment on each one depending on the jobs that you need to do for the day. And just make sure you can assemble multiple versions of the same truck. That way, again, you've got some redundancy if something goes wrong. With an organization around $3 million, you're going to have somewhere around 30 employees. So what are the roles and responsibilities that these people would perform inside this business? Technical cleaning and non-technical cleaning services are going to make up the bulk. This is where your billable hours come from. In your technical services, you might run two-man crews, at least for some of them. This helps with redundancy because if someone calls in sick and you need to shift some people around, you have enough bodies to actually get the work done and keep Mrs. Jones happy. And so a mixture between one-man and two-man crews is probably a good idea to keep costs down and only deliver what you need to at the job site. For sure, this organization is going to have some outside and inside salespeople, people who can go do estimates, people who are super good on the phone with follow-up. And it's likely they have a small marketing team, 1 or 2 people working on video or content, blog posts, SEO, lead acquisition, and just generally thinking about that all the time. You're going to have some agents, people answering the phone, closing out jobs, making sales, making sure your client retention strategies are working forward and moving effectively. They're also important because they're going to help you maintain the books, CRM, accounting, billing, making sure that those invoices are getting paid. You're likely to have a bookkeeper, someone that just handles the day-to-day entry of your accounting. And if you're doing a really good job, you've got an HR person, someone who's actually paying attention to recruitment and making sure that your people that are in the company are rock stars. They get the flexibility and empathy they need when they're winners, and when they're not, they're shown the door. It's likely, especially with restoration, you've got a project manager, someone who can coordinate schedules and technicians over a long period of time for multiple visits. And they'll also do some internal project coordination, taking a look at maybe the weakest link within the company and just getting systems in place to fix it. So in this environment, what will you do again? You're not out there pushing the wand and you're not making direct sales. It's your leadership that's important, your vision, and most importantly, honestly, you're the go-to guy. Right? The last place when you have to deal with cleaning up mess. If someone made a mistake and a client's pissed off, or let's say it's the other way around, a client is unruly and you need to protect your employees from them. Like whatever the case is, at the end of the day, it's all your fault. Everything that happens in the organization. And so it's up to you to run around and put out those fires, give the rah-rah, and make sure people know they're both appreciated and accountable. Let's talk about marketing strategies. because you know this company has it. They're dealing with 8,500 clients, which is about what you would need in order to produce a $3 million revenue. They most certainly would follow an omnipresent philosophy. You'd see them everywhere. They'd have their SEO or search engine optimization. They'd be on the radio, right? They'd be at local events, charity events or community events. They'll be maximizing social media. Now, guys, this is a huge white space. This is what I don't see. A lot of you guys who want to be on social are pitching to your peers. It's fun, right? You guys get validation, you get some likes out of it. Some of you are trying to make money out of it by pitching coaching services. Like, I get it. But how about taking charge in your local community? How about producing value content for the entire county based off county needs and county concerns? That could draw a lot of attention, and there's nobody doing it. And let's face it, with 8,500 clients, referrals are a major source of lead acquisition. They're talking about you all the time, and you seem to be on top of mind of a lot of people's lists. Now, it's nice to have all these lead acquisition places around and pulling in leads like crazy, but it doesn't do any good if you're not following up on them effectively and quickly. And that's what your sales team is going to be doing, right? That lead and follow-up game has got to be on point. They'll actually answer the phone and call people back when they promise, which is amazing for a service business if you stop to think about it. I want to talk about HR for a second, because this organization certainly has some semblance of it, whether or not there's a dedicated HR person or not. There's SOPs, or standard operating procedures. They use those to train new people, both non-tech and tech cleaners, the agents, the marketing people, the salespeople, the project managers, everybody, right, will have some list of SOPs that help them do their job in the most efficient way possible and create consistency amongst the organization. Talent recruitment starts to become a big deal when you hit these kind of numbers too. Let's face it, people come and go, right? They have life changes, they change their goals, or maybe they get opportunities that you help them get as they move through their journey in life. And all that's standard fare. When you have 1 or 2 employees, if you have that happen, let's say once a year, not a big deal. At 12 employees, now it's happening once a month. And at 36 employees, 3 times a month. I'm making those numbers up, but you get the idea. The larger your employment pool, the more likely you're just going to continually have employment issues, whether that's attrition or people needing to be replaced, positions that are growing. So recruitment becomes a big deal. Paying attention and looking for talent when you need them and being able to grab them because you have a great reputation and brand within your local community. Okay, and then it's obvious systems. You've got accounting systems and bookkeeping systems and cancellation systems and job confirmation systems and client retention programs. And it just goes on forever. Like every little facet of your business that work gets done should be documented and systematized. This is how you're going to scale. Okay, guys, 3 things wrapping up on this showcase of an amazingly perfect service company. Number 1, start with the end in mind. Think big. Imagine what your strongest version of your company or your business would look like, then reverse engineer it. And imagine that on a regular basis. Number 2, take actionable steps to get toward that goal. It's baby steps. It doesn't really matter if they're small. Just keep moving forward week after week after week. And you'll find, as long as everyone is moving forward, next time you turn around, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's done and the company is just continually in better shape. You don't start a $1 million business at $800,000. You start to build a $1 million business at $100,000. Become self-employed and then realize your vision for an empire. And number 3, don't let other people's progress determine your happiness. You are your own competitor, and that is always and ever the only truth. You are your own competitor. Look, this was a fictional company, right? As is a lot of the numbers that your friends on your bulletin boards and internets are giving you. All you know for sure is what you're doing and where you want to go. So drive it based off of that. Use your vision to drive you forward, not as a whipping post. Until next time, guys, subscribe to our YouTube channel, go check out the demo, and give us a call.